Okay, so let me welcome you officially once more. I'm in particular welcoming our participants in Barbados. This is part of their Professional Development Day that was held last week. And Sharon Almerigi, who is a co-founder of the Caribbean Facilitators Network and was our regional director for the IAF in our Caribbean region for many years and is still yes, very instrumental in our facilitators network in the Caribbean and in the IAF. So Sharon and her, can I say, colleagues and friends in Barbados had arranged this development day, and I'm very honored that I have a chance to continue the conversation with you around the benefit of being a certified professional facilitator according to the standards of the IAF. And I'm very happy that Sharon herself is here with us today. She's joining us from Houston, Texas. Is that right? Near Houston? Abilene?
Abilene. The old Western town.
Abilene. And a Western town. So where is your Western hat today?
Yeah,
I hope you're wearing the Assessors hat today.
Yes.
The Assessor's hat is invisible, so I'm very happy that you will be with us to share. And we have Natalie Zend, who is a CPF, became a CPF a year ago. Natalie is based in Toronto. And now I see also Alicia Small has joined us. Alicia will also join us as a CPF and present the CPF experience. Welcome, Alicia. I have just enabled your microphone and video function, so please enable your microphone and video with the drop-down, using the drop-down menus in the top bar for microphone and camera. So please enable your microphone, thank you, and your camera, and then please start sharing your camera with us. Okay. So while Alicia is getting ready, Sharon, can I ask you, for how long have you been an assessor? Natalie, we can see you now, by the way. Just kicked in.
Figured it out.
Thank you.
I've been an assessor since 2008.
That's a great time. A long time, almost 10 years. You're going up to 10 years. I'm sure you will go over 10 years.
I got my CPF
and we will learn why.
2001. I got my CPF in 2001.
Yes. Thank you very much. Okay, now we have Alicia on the call. Alicia, do you have background noise? Could you mute yourself then if you are? Yes, can I welcome you?
Yes, hello everyone. Are you hearing me?
Thank you. I welcome you. Hearing you okay, and if possible, we also like to see you.
Oh, yeah. Just 1 second. Sorry about that.
That's fine. So, but there is a lot of echo and also background noise on your side, so please mute. Thank you. All right. So let's go into the matter. Our topic today is what are the benefits of becoming a CPF? And I think those who have joining us today from the Barbados Development Day have seen the power of facilitation. And we want to share with you today the power of the certification process and the power of being a CPF, working aligned with the competencies of the IAF and how valuable it is to us in our profession. We will also share what the core competencies are and how we can work with them and how they are beneficial to us in our growth. Then we will share certainly what the assessment process entails. And towards the end also, we will introduce the current fee structure that was just upgraded early this year. So our objective is that you understand the value of the CPF designation, the significance of the IAF core competencies, the necessary requirements and experiences, and learn about the assessment process. So, I also see that Jill Chambers has just joined us. Jill, I'm enabling your microphone and video, so you can please activate your camera and microphone. I see you did that. Thank you very much. So, what is the benefit of becoming an IAF certified professional facilitator? Certainly, you can use the CPF designation, and you will gain advantage by being listed in the IAF website as a CPF. In the process, you can test your skills against a set of the recognized core competencies for facilitators, and we will speak to those in a few minutes. The process will give you feedback on your experiences that you share and also on a live performance of a facilitated session. So you will get very valuable feedback on your work as a facilitator that will enable your growth and further development. And also your clients can be assured that you're working and perform at a recognized standard, a global standard that has been developed over time. Natalie, Alicia, I would like to ask you to share with us briefly what you have felt the value is to you. You are now CPFs for about a year. Congratulations again. Both of you, I believe, got certified last year during our conference, IAF conference in Trinidad. And just let us know how you feel, what the value is to you of being a CPF in your profession. So, Alicia, would you like to go first? Please, I can unmute you, I think. All right, here we go.
Yes, hello everyone. Are you hearing me?
Yes, we hear you.
Great, okay. Firstly, I apologize for the background noise. It's a holiday here and my son is home. So I'm going to speak really briefly and then I'll put myself back on mute. So I thoroughly enjoyed the experience last year of becoming a CPF. I personally love the core competency outline as a guide as to how to work within certain standards, and I think the guidelines that document really sort of stretched what I thought facilitation was, and it is really a thought-provoking application process. It forces you to think, okay, what is it that you would like to achieve in your session, and it also prepares you for the entire experience, because it really starts before you're certified. The application process actually is the start of the process, and that sort of gets you in a thinking position or thinking mindset as to what is it that you would like to achieve. The mentorship provided along the way was invaluable, as being able to work directly, for example, with Jill, who is very good with email and getting and feedback. That was very beneficial as well. So I hope that made some
Thank you,
sense.
Alicia. Thank you. Yes, and I think Natalie can probably confirm your experience. Natalie, how was it for you?
I'm not hearing Natalie.
No, Natalie, we don't hear you. Natalie? We cannot hear you. I'm very sorry. She's not on mute.
Okay. Put on the headset.
Well, we will continue in the meantime until she gets ready with her headset, and start talking about the core competencies. Actually, the core competencies are the foundation, I would believe, for the certification. And let me briefly speak about how these have developed and what they really are. They are a basic set of skills and have developed over time standards that describe the methodology, processes, the attitudes, and also behaviors of an effective facilitator and effective facilitation processes. In overall, the competencies and the standards have been summarized in 6 core competencies, and we will go through the 6 headlines in a little while. The work has continued or started in 1990 and continued over quite a few years. There was a group of international facilitators who have defined these standards, and based on these standards, in 1996 there was a first trial assessment, and I do believe that in this assessment, very well-known facilitators in the IAF, like Nadine Bell and Michael Wilkinson, were the first candidates, like the test bunnies in the process. And since then, the process has evolved, and the IAF has been very instrumental in improving the set of competencies and published them in the journal in 2000. So, the core competencies, the 6, I think, can be addressed in 2 or in 3 sets, because to me, this is my personal interpretation of them. The first 2 really speak in how we prepare and how we get on the same page with our clients in what their needs are and how we can really address these needs and how we can help them with a facilitated process. So we create a collaborative client relationship to define with our client how we can address the needs, and then we plan with particular selected methodologies and processes. We also plan the room and the space and the time that we will need to facilitate groups in their conversations and deliberations. In this next 2 competencies, create and sustain a participatory environment and guide group to appropriate and useful outcomes, really speak to us as facilitators in a facilitated group session. So we demonstrate that we effectively can create a participatory environment that ensures inclusiveness, that we manage group conflict, and that we evoke creativity in the process. And throughout the process, that we ensure that the methods that we are applying are really delivering the desired outcomes. So we're guiding the group to consensus, to action plans, to their way forward, to an agreed way forward and in a desired outcome. The last 2 competencies really speak to our professional attitude and how we grow as a facilitator over time and maintain our professional knowledge. So, this is just like a summary of what the competencies speak to. And I would like to ask our assessors really at this time, and this is a chance to welcome Jill, who also is based in Jamaica and has been an assessor. Yes, you can actually introduce yourself, Jill, for how long you have been an assessor, and then maybe ask or answer the question, how important do you see the competencies are for a candidate in this process? Jill, I can't hear you. cannot hear you. Is your microphone muted, maybe? Yes, I just did that. I just brought her back in. Yes, so Natalie, you should be able to activate your microphone. Jill, your microphone is enabled, so can you speak to us? We cannot hear you, Jill. I'm very sorry.
Everything's working now on my end. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Natalie.
Yay.
Great, Natalie, to hear your voice. Jill, until you have sorted out your microphone, I will refer to Sharon. Sharon, for an assessor, how do you see the importance of the competencies in the process?
Ulla, can you add Natalie back? Somehow she's lost her functions of microphone and video. Are you able to bring her back in?
Thank you.
Hey, yes.
Thank you. Yes, Natalie, can you tell us now maybe how did you work with the competencies in the process and how were they helpful to you?
Yeah, they're really central because that's the framework to really
Oh, they're
examine
very important.
the
It's a good
facilitation
idea
experience that I was
to be
presenting.
familiar with them. And in the paperwork,
And so
candidates are
particularly in
directed
the
to the
essay that we were asked
competencies.
to write
And
about one of
often
the 7
candidates
workshops we facilitated,
present
I really,
the work that they have
what I would
done
say to any
in the form of the
candidate is
competencies.
it's
You
really
see, they
important
are
to read
asked
those
to
facilitator competencies and think
to
about how you were
demonstrate
applying
that they
them in the
have done
workshop
at
and
least 7
describe that in the
facilitated events
essay.
in the
So
last 3
I was
years
really wanting to
and
make those
show that they have
linkages
used
explicit,
all of those competencies. So it's very important
as I
for
walked
candidates to be
through
really aware of them.
the
They don't have to do every
pieces that
single
were
bullet
asked
point,
for in the
but they really need to
description.
demonstrate that they are using competencies in all the 5
Right.
I would
areas,
echo what Alicia said about
6 areas.
being a really helpful way to frame what we do as facilitators.
Great. Thank you for that. Jill, do you think you have managed your microphone problem by now? So you can add? No, Jill, we cannot hear you, unfortunately. Maybe what you could do is run the audio setup wizard and see and test your microphone on your side. Thank you.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, in the meantime, hey, sure,
Hi, you can hear. I'm
here
so
you are.
sorry.
Hi.
Good morning or good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, I just wanted to add. Obviously I'm biased, but I think I'm agreeing with what Natalie and Alicia have said, and also to say that Sharon and I became assessors at the same time in Chicago. We went through our certification. And actually, I didn't even realize that it was 2008. For some reason, I thought it was 2010. But yeah, it's been several years, and it's fabulous, and we love what we do.
Great. Yes, I was there with you in 2010, and I realized how excited you were to be there in your first assessments. So the core competencies to you, would you like to add anything to their value to you as an assessor?
Sure, just to say that that's what we're looking for. We're looking for evidence of the competencies throughout the entire process. So before we meet the candidates, during
There
the
she is.
going through the
Oh,
documentation,
everyone
we're
is
looking for
frozen now.
yeah.
Am I lost or are you lost? I've lost
I can
all
hear
your
you.
audios.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Can hear you now
Um,
again. Right.
okay. Yeah. What I was saying was that the competencies are the basis of the whole assessment, and that's, as assessors, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for evidence of all areas of the competencies, even before we meet the candidate. So when we're going through the documentation, in order to be able to invite them to the assessment day, we're looking for evidence of competencies. So they're foundational. That's what we use.
Right. Right. Thank you, Jill, for adding that. And I think Natalie has stressed it as well, how she has used it, that she really used it as a thread throughout her essay and her document that she submitted, commenting on her past experience. So
No.
as a recommendation to those who would like to get certified, I think we can summarize that it's
Yes.
good if you analyze your
Yes.
past work experience and check this work experience against these competencies, and you comment on that in your documentation. How does your experience fit with these competencies, or how would you describe your challenges, linking those challenges to the competencies, and how have you addressed the challenges that may have been there? And also seek feedback, I think, from peers and maybe other facilitators throughout the process on certain experiences that will help you to really process these thoughts in conjunction with the competencies. And even seek training that addresses the competencies. There are trainings that are recommended by the IAF that really address these competencies, and trainers are listed on the IAF website. So get prepared, study the competencies, and reflect on your experiences based on these competencies. Do we have any questions at this time? So to our participants in Barbados, would you please feel free to place any question that you have throughout the day in the chat box, and we will pick it up. I don't see a question right now, so I will continue with introducing the CPF assessment process. And yes, Charles, are you typing? I see some typing, some questions. So waiting for your questions.
I wonder if I might add about the benefits of the CPF.
Oh, sure, Natalie, sure.
My mic wasn't working, and at first I want to say just that it's a pleasure to see your faces again. Ulla, Alicia, Sharon, Christina, yours. So for me, there were maybe 4 key benefits. The first is really just having that credibility of being certified by an international professional body, having the stamp of approval that provides. And then second, with that comes a level of confidence that I know the standards of my profession, I know what established good practice is, and that I'm, part of an international body of professionals who've really thought about what makes for good facilitation, and that's what I'm bringing to my clients and to my collaborators and my colleagues. The third big benefit I found was just the learning. It was a big learning experience for me, and mainly the learning, it was first of all about what are considered to be those basic core competencies in facilitation. And then for me, really understanding the difference between process facilitation and other kinds of work like facilitating training programs and workshops and courses and experiential learning. It's more about being together and sharing from the heart. So I do other kinds of work, and I'm much clearer now about what is process facilitation, where it's really about guiding that core competency D, guiding groups to appropriate and useful outcomes. So the process brought a lot of clarity to me. And then the fourth benefit for me was getting that peer feedback, the hot feedback from the assessors at the end. It was really an unparalleled opportunity for that. And it put my practice in a new light.
Thank you, Natalie. Thank you. That was great testimonial of the benefit of the process as well as the benefit of the designation. Because I also felt when I got certified in 2008, the benefit of the feedback that you get is such a big learning, and it also encourages you to constantly reflect on your practice. And we always are challenged each time again with each new client and each new process that we work with. So it's a learning that will stay with us throughout our life as a facilitator, I found. So thank you very much. Yes, and we have now also Kathryn Jones-Douglas joining us. She was also a candidate last year in Trinidad. So we have a whole contingency of Trinidadian conference participants and CPF candidates here today. This is fantastic. So Kathryn, if you are able.
Ulla, you're frozen. Actually, and it just seems to be her that's frozen.
I am back. I am back.
Oh, okay.
This is the pleasure of being in the Caribbean, or in Jamaica, I must say. Losing internet sometimes. Sorry for that. Okay, let's continue our presentation regarding the process, because most of the questions are around the process, I understand. So it's all about demonstrating your proficiency in the IAF core competencies, and the process is a two-stage process. Just a brief summary, and we've heard this from Natalie and Alicia already. In the first stage, you will document past experience for at least 7 or over at least 7 facilitated sessions that you have facilitated within the past 3 years prior to your assessment. And you will describe and comment on these sessions and how you experience them with reference to the competencies. So this is a repetition of what we have just said before. And we will go more into the technical part of this process in just a moment. And then the second stage is actually a live demonstration where you will deliver a 30-minute workshop. You will be interviewed by 2 assessors who will be, well, your assessors throughout the whole process, really, and when and how they start working with you and how they work with you, Gilles and Sharon will share in just a moment. And so they will interview you on your document, they will assess your 30-minute workshop, and they will interview you on the delivery of this workshop afterwards. This is basically the 2-stage certification process, and as we hear, it's very engaging because we're actively involved and we receive feedback on our practice. So before you actually can engage in the actual process, you need to get started, submit your interest. and you will receive the information and application from the IAF Global Office. On the website, you will find the certify email address that you can contact, and they will be in touch with you within very short time. Then the first stage, you have to, once you start the process, you have to put in a document with all your personal information. You have to pay the application fee and the membership fee, and we will speak to the fee structure in a little while. Then you have to submit a resume and evidence of your professional training and experience, and submit a statement of your experience, particularly on one session that you should comment on in detail relating to the core competencies. And 2 accredited assessors will be assigned to review your documents and will then decide whether you will proceed to stage 2. And they will then help you in the preparation for page 2 and will also be participants or assessors in your workshop on the assessment day. So here is a stage 1 process. And could I ask one of our assessors to take us through the process? Who would like to take the lead to explain this process and also how you work with the candidate's documentation in the process? I'll leave it, Sharon. Yeah?
Yeah, just to say that, yeah, no, not that you missed, really, just building on a point that you made. In your documentation, because you're listing 7 workshops over the past 3 years, what we like to encourage people is to think about
well, as you
the
just
7 that
said,
they're
you
submitting,
show your
and that they
interest by
should really
submitting an
be good
application,
examples
all 3
of different
parts,
types
which
of
includes
facilitation.
your personal data,
So
your resume,
don't
and then
write all
also your
about,
application,
like don't
and
make
where
all
you
7 the same
where you
type of thing. So,
review
for example,
your
if you facilitated
you
focus
document your
groups, if
7
you've
workshops in
done
review 1,
visioning workshops,
and
if you've
then
done large groups, small groups,
your
it should be as varied as possible.
2 assessors will be assigned to you.
So
They
it
will
spreads
read
across
your
all of the
documents,
competencies.
and then they
Great.
will talk to
Thanks
each other,
for
and they
this,
will
Jill.
decide whether or
So
not you
share
can be
a wide
invited
range of
to the
experience
assessment
that you
day.
had.
So at this
Yeah.
point, what they're looking
Yeah.
for is
Mhm.
evidence,
So
and
in
they're
other
going to
words,
be
if
looking
you've
for
only ever
evidence of
done
the
7,
competencies. And if you show enough
it
in
can be
your
argued that
initial
perhaps you're not
documents
necessarily
that you have
ready
been and
to
are
take
using
the
the competencies,
certification.
then you will be invited.
It shouldn't. You shouldn't have like just 7 to
In other words,
choose
Jill
from
can
over
add to
3
that
years. Should be a good selection.
in case I missed
Okay,
something.
the more experience, the better.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? Mm-hmm.
Yes, and like I say, the different types.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So I would like to invite the CPF again to comment on some more experiences. Natalie has shared already how she has used the competencies in preparing the documentation. I'm seeing Kathryn online. She should be able to speak to us now. Kathryn, would you like to share with us your experience of this process in the stage 1? And how you prepared your documentation?
A variety.
Hi, Kathryn. We can see your webcam now. We cannot hear you yet. So maybe check out your microphone, and you will have a chance before the end of the session to share with us some experience in the process. So are there any questions? So process in this stage 1 for any of our participants in Barbados or in Jamaica. I see Lisa Ann has joined us from Jamaica. Lisa Ann is a member of the IAF Jamaica, who were cordially invited by CFN to join us today in this webinar. Kathryn?
I could add a couple of things from the candidate's perspective.
Yes, Natalie, thank you. Please, go ahead.
So one thing I would add is before applying, it would really be worth looking at the document and making sure that you have 7 workshops that qualify in the last 3 years. So to make sure that you're using your time well and that you have a good chance. Because again, for me, I really had to distinguish between training workshops and experiential learning and things that were more about community building and healing, you know, and the kind of process facilitation that we're talking about here. The second thing is that there's a request in that application part, I think it's part 3, to include written confirmation from your client or your sponsor for each of the 7 workshops. So you need to think about as well, can I get that? Am I still in relationship with that client or sponsor? Can I get an email or letter in time? And that means you need enough lead time. So give yourself, you know, lots of time to prepare that piece of the application. That's what I would add. And yeah, I guess I have another piece on part 2, but I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Natalie. Kathryn, yes, we can hear you now, and there's also, yes, we can hear you now, and there is a feedback from your microphone, so I will be quiet now and just ask you to comment, if you like, on this first stage in the application process.
So thank you so much for inviting me. I've joined the meeting late from another meeting, so I'm happy to be included in the process. I'd like to add to what Natalie has said, and I really support as well what Jill said. When I was looking at the process and thinking about the number of workshops that I had done over a 3-year period, my mic is up at 100. It is up at 100. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure why you can't hear me. It is as loud as it can go. Are you hearing me?
Okay, thanks for. Yes, we hear you. If you go closer to the mic, it may be better.
Okay, so here I am, as close as I could get and as loud as I can get. I just really want to support what Jill said. As you look at your experiences over 3 years, and I looked at the number of workshops, it occurred to me that it would be a sensible thing to get as many varied workshops as possible. And so that was, in terms of preparing for that, I think I would say to candidates now, just please be aware that that is not a one-day process. You really need to take the time to look at the competencies, make absolutely certain that you do have a firm foundation in terms of applying them in the work that you have done before you think of applying. I would say to anybody who wants to become a certified professional facilitator, go for it. I mean, it's amazing to be a member of an international association. There are a number of benefits. I mean, you have all this material that you can access. And it's not just beneficial to you, but beneficial for your practice. And I just want to, I don't know if this is the space where I can say this. Are we still in the space where we can talk about how we've been able to apply the principles, etc.? Are you hearing me?
We will, yes, thank you. We spoke already about the core competencies, so we have addressed those. And I would like at this point to ask, thank you for your explanation of how you experienced the value of this first part and how you prepared for it. Could you for now mute yourself so that we do not have the echo, and when you would like to speak again we can unmute you. Thank you. We have a few questions to the process, and Jill and Natalie started answering some in the chat. So how long does the process overall take? Jill and Sharon, will you comment on this? I kind of remember you should at least allow for 3 months to prepare the documentation, which is document part 3, the actual documentation of your work experience. Part 1 and 2 really are just administrative parts to submit your interest, pay your fees, hand in your candidate's details, etc., etc. And part 3, I believe, is the documentation. So how much time would you give for that to write?
Actually, I've just
Jill, Sharon.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say that I typed in response to Shane. I don't know that that there is an actual average, because obviously it depends on how you work. But do allow yourself a few months. I mean, 3 seems like a reasonable figure, but it's not necessarily that the writing of the documentation will take the time, but it's the organization of the presenting of the material and the thought process that you go through to make sure that each one of the 7 workshops that you're talking about has demonstrated the competencies in a particular way.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Sharon. So working back from the actual assessment day,
yeah, you just said 3
which
months,
will happen in stage 2, and we will talk about the preparation for that in a moment. But in terms of the timeline, I think it would be good to work back from the assessment day. How much time before would the documentation have to be submitted?
There are timelines.
So if you know...
There are stated timelines on the website. So depending on when your assessment is, like you say, you do work backwards, but there are also deadlines to meet.
Right. And those can be seen, let's say there is an assessment in October in Denver, Colorado. There will be a deadline up to when stage 1, document 1, 2, and 3,
that,
or 1, 2,
although you want
and then
a variety
3
of
will have to be
workshops, I
submitted.
just want to make sure that people don't
so
think
that you can
variety
be
means
considered
some
for
training,
that
some,
assessment day.
you know, other types of things,
All right,
because that's
thank
one
you.
of the things that will disqualify you right up front.
So
if you
we
come
always
in
talk about the
as a
assessment
trainer or a
day,
coach.
but first we want to
This
talk about
particular
how do we
application
prepare
process
for it.
needs to show
So
how you
assessors
use process to help people develop
will present a list
their
of
own
workshop
objectives.
topics from my experience.
I hope that's clear.
So the assessor will play the role of the client, or one assessor will play the role of the client, and you can select from a list of workshop topics to prepare for. you will have an interview with your client assessor. You will design your workshop and then submit the material, including training certificates and client letters, etc., etc. Arrange for your travel and accommodation yourself. Just to hear again from a CPF maybe, Alicia, Natalie, or Kathryn. I don't know, Natalie, if you have to leave soon, maybe you would like to take this on. How did the assessors work with you in this stage after you have been accepted to come to the assessment day in your preparation for it?
So I received an email with a few workshop topics from which I could choose. So there were about 6 of them, and then I had a phone call. I emailed one of my assessors and arranged for a phone call, and it was like a mock client needs assessment, meeting or interview. And so we spoke for about half an hour on the phone. And I have to say that I found this part of the assessment process challenging because it's a simulation, and you're pretending that you're meeting with the client. You have 1 meeting, maybe 2 if it's needed. Then you prepare your workshop. You deliver a half-hour workshop, but it's all it's a simulation, and it was quite different from the way I actually work. And the topics that were offered to me were not topics that I've actually delivered process workshops on. So it really required me to adjust my mindset, and I had a lot of questions for my assessor about that, and it took me some time to get around it. I would highly recommend, if you can, that you consult The Art of Focused Conversation. It's a book by the ICA, and can you see that?
Yeah, we can see it.
It gives you a whole bunch of situations and a flow of questions for different situations, like planning a staff party, responding, evaluating a marketing package, and so on. So it kind of puts you in these potential situations and gives you a flow of questions that could guide your half-hour workshop. And so that really was what helped me get on track. I just very luckily I happened upon that. So then I had a brief phone call with my assessor, who was my client, pretending to be my client, and I asked her about who would be at the workshop, what the goals were, how they were hoping participants would feel at the end of it, what had already happened with that group, what would happen afterwards, to get a sense of the context and purpose and participants in the workshop. And then I designed the workshop. I sent them my draft design and asked them as my mock client if they had any further needs, requirements, constraints, feedback on my design, and then I went in to the assessment day and delivered the workshop. So
great.
Yeah, that's kind of from my perspective what stood out for me about that whole process.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think that's very helpful to understand how to prepare for a simulated workshop and how identifying the right questions can help you to design the process and also to speak to your assessor as a client. I'm seeing a conversation going on here. Just quickly to go back to stage 1 and the documentation of facilitated experience sessions, there is this question about, can it be a training session? Can we have a quick comment on that? I see there's answers no. And I see an answer, it's explained on the website, but can we explain the difference between a training session and a facilitated session that assessors are looking for? in your documentation of experience. Yes, Jill, I see you would like to
I was going
speak.
to say, Sharon, you want to take that, and then I'll just add. Yeah, agreed. You're, as the facilitator with the process, you're completely content neutral. So you're not giving people information. You're not telling them how to do something. You're trying to help them to get to whatever it is they say that they want to achieve. So if it's an action planning session, you're helping them achieve their objectives. You're not. You've designed a process to help them achieve their objectives. There's no content that you're imparting at all.
Right. And Natalie's comment, yes.
Can you hear me on that? Is it better?
Yes, Kathryn?
Yes. Okay, great. I
Yes.
just wanted to comment on that because a lot of times, and being at the assessment and working with the assessors really, really helps me to make a decision.
Well, I thought Natalie actually wrote it very well, where she said that you facilitated in order to help the group achieve their own purpose and deliverables. And so you are not training them, you're not imparting information, you're helping them to find what they need, you're helping them to meet their own objectives, and you're using process, you're using methods in order to do that. So you can add, Jill.
Critical sort of distinction, and what I have found is if you could facilitate process, then you can facilitate anything really, because it is about the process, and you can use process and processes depending on what the group wants to get. So it's very useful if you're
Right. Thank you, Kathryn, for adding this. Yes, Lisanne is asking if we can send copies of the slides. We will, and I can also include the information about the book that Natalie was referring to, a very helpful book, The Focused Conversation, and there's also the workshop book by the ICA Canada. Good, so we are preparing for stage 2 in the process, the assessment day. Jill, Sharon, from your point of view, how do you work together, or how do you work with your candidate in this stage? We know 2 assessors are assigned to one candidate to review the documents, and also 2 assessors will be present, the same 2 assessors will be present at the assessment day to do the interviews. But in this preparation phase, I think only one of you is working with the candidate.
Yeah. Okay, so before I answer that particular question, can I just make a slight correction to the first bullet on your slide? The assessor doesn't present a list of workshop topics. When the candidates are invited, when they get the invitation from the IAF office, they're sent a lot of information, one of which is a set of workshop topics, and then they have to choose. So like Natalie said, there's 6 different categories to choose from, and each category has a subset of workshops that they can choose from. There's something like 30 different types of workshops in total, and they choose one. Having selected, right, so having then selected a workshop topic, again, like Natalie has just said, they get in touch with their client assessor. So each candidate has 2 assessors of their own, and the client assessor is working with the candidate to prepare for the mock facilitation workshop that has just been explained. So by the time you get to the assessment day, everything that you need in terms of client needs and process, etc., should have already been worked out, because on the assessment day itself you have an interview you do the mock
Go ahead,
facilitation
Jill.
workshop, so you're doing the demonstration, and then you have another interview. And those 3 aspects throughout the day, what we're doing is we're collecting further evidence of the IAF competencies. So we will have seen some amount of evidence, enough to actually be invited or to get the invitation to come to the assessment day. And then on the day itself, we are looking for further evidence. There are specific questions. And
Thank you, Jill.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. So you're leading us into the assessment day. And moving on and asking Sharon or Jill, what is happening on the assessment day? And this slide can help us. Yes, please.
Well, on the assessment day, we arrive early and we all meet and talk about how the day is going to go. And then each candidate goes off to prepare, and they have their
Thank
first
you, Sharon.
interview.
I don't have anything to add based on what
And
I said earlier and what you have just
while
said.
they're being
I don't think so.
interviewed, other
If there are
people
any
are
questions,
maybe
maybe
preparing
we
their
could-
flip charts for
we
the
could
session,
expound that
meeting
way.
the other people, and so on. So it's rotated so that your time to
Right.
interview is your
Thank
time.
you.
Then you go and go back and join.
Yes,
the
I will
group.
comment on
Then you,
questions
when the
to
time comes,
resources
after all the
later.
interviews are done, then
And now
you
let
will
us
present your workshop.
debrief
And in your
the
workshop,
assessment day.
the other
It sounds like a
candidates will
very
become
intense experience,
your
a whole day, a
participants,
full day
as well
of
as
being
2 other
present,
assessors.
being there with your mind, being
For the
assessed,
assessment
being
day, there are
observed.
actually 4 total
How
assessors because
stressful
they're
is this for
interviewing
you,
candidates as
Kathryn
well.
or Natalie?
And
Or
in
Alicia? I
that
think Alicia
workshop,
may
you
still
may
be
have
there,
about
but
7 or
her
8
video has disappeared.
participants, which include
As candidates,
your
was it
assessors
stressful or how
and
did you get through the
the other
day?
participants. And then in the back of the
Hi
room
everyone, are you hearing me?
will be observers, which are the other 2, or there are 2 other assessors.
Yeah, let's go one by one.
Alicia.
Who's there?
After your workshop,
Kathryn?
after all the workshops are
Yes,
done, you
okay,
come
well
back
for
for
me
your
on the
second
Alicia.
interview.
day, because
And
of all the
then you,
preparation work ahead of time,
are
I was
informed
more
after that
excited
whether
and
or
I got
not.
nervous later on because I think I was in the last group. But in the
Maybe
morning I
Jill
was
can
more
add
excited
where
and
I
nervous. I only got
missed
nervous
or
closer to
add-
when I had to
fill
go.
that out.
But it was really great being supported by the other candidates as they were our audience, they were our participants, and I think that structure is a very good structure to have because you learn from each other along the way. So many times, because I went last, I think, many times during the day I was thinking, oh wow, that's a good technique. I was very much tempted, sorry for the noise, I was very much tempted to switch what I prepared to put in a facilitation technique that another candidate used, but I didn't because in the interest of time it's best to stick with what you know. So, but it was really great seeing how the candidates, each of us, how we approached our topics that we selected beforehand. But it was a great supportive environment, and it's also part of the learning process as well for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Alicia. Thank you.
After what Alicia
That sounds great. Very emotional, but very, very supportive environment. Thank you.
So if I
Kathryn.
may add to what Alicia said, for me, I think there was the preparation before, but on the actual day when I got there, I mean, and they tell you what to expect in terms of the process, but when we got there, it was like, oh my gosh, did I make the right decision? And so I'll go to the end now and say I made the right decision. It was a day where I met some people, and I looked at their techniques, I looked at their confidence, and I thought, it's such a privilege to be in this group of people. And the assessors, they were just, you know, just knowledgeable. They didn't miss anything. On that day, we got great feedback, and at the same time, they gave us space. And in giving us space, what happened with our group is we just became, as Alicia said, a support system for each other. So much so that when somebody had to present and we were there, how can we help? Put things up, take things down, you know, tell us what we can do to support you. So I think it was just facilitation at its best, not just in terms of the candidates, but also the assessors. You know, there's always this system that's operating while you are in a system. And I think their system of facilitation translated to us. They always appeared calm, competent, in control, and relaxed at the same time. One of the things that you need to be aware of, people who are interested in becoming a CPF, is that, you know, these people do what they say they will do. So one of the things that was really, you know, just a little, the first time it happened, I went, gasp. Because in the Caribbean, we tend to make so many allowances, but they said up front, we are giving you ... time to do this. And at the end of ... time, you're going to see us get up and walk out because it's come to the end. And I thought, yeah, but you know, in the Caribbean, what we do is we say, okay, try and hurry up and get it done with it. And then I saw it, the time, and they said, okay, excuse me. And they left, and I thought, wow, okay, Kathryn, get it together. Get it together. So what I'm saying as well to the people who are coming, just be prepared. As you prepare your work, time it. Understand that even if things don't go exactly the way you've got it written down, you're a facilitator. This is process. And this happened to me as well. One of the times, something I was supposed to do, it could not happen. I could read from the group that I could not continue doing that way. And I made a split decision then to just do something else. And they picked it up. When we did the review, they picked it up and they asked why. And I said, this was why. And the other thing that was great about that day is you were really allowed to, you were heard. You were allowed to say, this is why I did this. This is why I chose this. You know, and the questions were very pointed. They impact my practice till today. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Kathryn, and also Alicia. I mean, both your testimonials of the day, how you went through it, are really, you know, they trigger emotions in me. My assessment was 2008, but I can feel it. I can feel it again, the excitement during the day. And as a last question, I mean, now, Natalie, would you like to add anything to the excitement that you experienced during this day?
Sure, I'll just concur with both Alicia and Kathryn. The atmosphere was very welcoming and supportive, and it was really clear what the process was going to be. We did all support each other, and I learned a lot from the other candidates. So I really concur. It was a good environment. I felt alert, relaxed, not too relaxed, mostly very alert. What really helped me was the preparation. my design was really well prepared, and I had thought about exactly what I was going to say, what materials I would need, what I would need to prepare beforehand so that I could get everything in place within just a couple of minutes. And that helped me a lot. So I would really recommend that to anybody, just preparation, and being sure that you can complete what you've set out to do within the 30 minutes, because that can get caught out if you end up a quarter of the way through what you were hoping for and you're not able to demonstrate that you helped the group achieve the outcome, then you could get in trouble. So those would be my tips.
So make sure that what you want to do can be delivered in 30 minutes. And thank you for this tip. Sharon, Jill, do you have any advice that you can give for anyone, what not to do and what to focus on this day? Thank you, Sharon. Jill, just a quick advice. We are running out of time. Our participants are running out of time, and I have to deliver in time.
No, I would just say, don't stress. Have the confidence in yourself. You know that you're.
Let me just say quickly that I made an error earlier. Since this is recorded, I want to clarify. I became an assessor.
Right. Thanks
Jill
so
was
much.
right, 2010.
Yes, I think that's the whole thing.
So
Don't
I just wanted to correct that.
And
any
be aware
other advice,
that
I would
everything
just
can be
say,
explained.
prepare, just as everyone else has said.
And you have assessors who are there to be supportive to you
in 30 minutes.
Not
ensure that you aren't
how can I say,
giving information, that you're
not
helping people develop their own plans. And just,
right, to assess, to pass, right, that is,
make sure
thank you so much, that's your ethos. Thank you. Great. I have one more part of information to share. Natalie had to leave, so thank you very much also, Alicia, for having been here today. The rest of the information that we have to share is about the fee structure for the certification.
And it's just a very exciting experience, so go into it also knowing that you are going to get as much as you give
so
in this experience.
You have to be a member of the IAF to be assessed and to be allowed to use the designation as a CPF going forward. So the membership fees in our Caribbean region are currently $100 US per year, and if you have a special need, let's say you work for a non-for-profit, or you are just starting your business as a facilitator, or you're adding facilitation to your business, etc., you have to give a good reason, and the IAF regional director will receive your application for a reduced fee. So the minimum membership fee is $50 US if you have a specific reason or need, and want to join and want to certify. Usual regular membership in our countries in the Caribbean is $100 US. The assessment fee, though, is $2,350 US, and it's payable at the time of application. If you are deferred, meaning you will have to come to another assessment day, resubmit your application and run through stage 2 again, there is a fee of $750 US for your second assessment. And then going forward, if you are a CPF, you will be asked to recertify every 3 years, renew your CPF designation. This is done by submitting a report of your experiences of your 3 years since you have been certified or recertified. And I think what assessors are looking for here, from my own experience, having gone through the recertification twice already, is how have you grown? Have you applied new methods? Do you have new type of clients, new type of workshops that you are facilitating? How do you demonstrate your growth? Have you visited or done some training? Have you visited conferences? Have you worked as a volunteer in the IAF? What has helped you to grow in your profession? So this is what they are looking for in a recertification. Sharon and Jill, any comments to this?
Yeah, likewise. Likewise.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't think that we can say anything about it yet. Yeah. Yeah, there will be more details to follow.
Okay, so so you're saying the IAF is discussing a scholarship program that will help us to pay the assessment fee over time or something like that. So a scholarship program is being discussed in whichever way, but will be confirmed later this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. So this is the information that we can share about the IAF CPF process and the core competencies and what it takes for a candidate to go through the process successfully, to succeed, to be certified. Thank you so much for our assessors, Jill and Sharon, and for our CPFs, Kathryn, Natalie, and Alicia, to have shared your experiences and your knowledge about the process. So for those who would like to get certified within the next few years, please visit our website, the IAF Global website.
You made it very
CPF
clear.
events are listed, and also you find the competencies
There is
more in
a
detail
scholarship
explained.
program. Maybe Jill
You
would,
will
but I'm not sure. Is
find
that anything that's gone
how
on?
the information to the
They're
certification,
looking at a scholarship
the email
program.
address where you can get more information and also
No.
send in your interest for application. So I have seen we have lost a few participants, not too many, lucky. I would like just to get a little feedback on those who are still online. Who actually is interested to get certified, and in which time frame would you look to get certified? So I'm opening a poll, and you can give me your feedback, those who are still around as participants of the Development Day. Are you looking to get certified maybe even this year still, or in 2018, or are you still undecided? I will leave this poll open. Maybe Jill and Sharon, in the meantime, can you share where the next assessments are scheduled? When we're talking about the assessment is scheduled, that's the assessment day of stage 2, to which any candidate will have to add the timing that it takes to prepare for it.
You had asked me. Yeah, but there's several in different parts of the world that are coming up. So in June, there's one in Japan and one in Calgary. In August, there's one in Korea. In fact, there's two in Korea, but one is in English and one is in Mandarin. So if anybody on the call is a Chinese speaker, feel free to apply to Korea in August. In September, there's one in Denmark. In October, we have 3. There's one in Nigeria for the first time, and we're actually very excited about that because it will be the first CPF event in Africa. There's one I think Ulla already mentioned in Denver in October, and there's also one in Paris. In November, at the moment, November is the busiest month for assessments. There are 5. There's one in Tanzania, one in Australia. There's another one in the Netherlands, but it's in Dutch. There's one in Sweden and there's one in Canada. And one so far that's confirmed already for next year is in May in Canada.
Thank you, Jill. Thank you so much. I have published the results of the poll. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Can you see the results of our poll?
Well, Toronto
so one
has one in
person
December,
is
I
considering to get certified in 2018, and 2 are undecided. These are the answers that we have received. So whoever wants to get certified, we wish you all the best. We can only, if you really are a facilitator and want to develop in your profession, I think this is the best development opportunity. This is not just an assessment. This is really a professional and personal development opportunity. This is how I have experienced it. And I think also our CPFs who were online today have given similar testimonials to the process. So thank you very much for all who have joined today, shared your experiences, and those we wish you good luck if you go for the certification in 2018. And we say goodbye, maybe at another webinar in the Caribbean soon. Bye, everyone. Bye, Kathryn, who's still there. Bye, Jill.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye, everyone in Barbados.